Welcome to Nightlight. Step away from the mainstream and gather around as we enlighten the world and our realities and travel this cosmic journey we call life. Join us as we share with you and provide that beacon that can guide us all to a better way. Explore with us as we examine a metaphysical montage of spiritual insights, covering everything from the mundane to the magical, UFOs to unicorns, and everything in between. This is a time of awakening, of sharing and evolving, of spreading our wings and soaring on the cosmic breath of creation. Come and join with other light-minded spirits as we weave our lights together to seek understanding, enlightenment, and, with a little luck, some wisdom. This is Nightlight, a reminder that you are never alone.
Welcome, everybody, to Nightlight. Thank you for spending your evening with us. We really appreciate it. And if you get a chance, you can always check out our YouTube channel. And if you like what you're listening to, please subscribe to it so we can let you know whenever another show happens and is as good as the one you're going to hear tonight. We want to thank Ken Quiet Hawk for his intro. You can find him at nativestorytellers.com. And it is an amazing way of following history. The first families are the purveyors of wisdom from generations that were not written down. And to be honest with you, their history is far more accurate than the history that we're teaching in schools. So check it out. Mark has an amazing guest with him tonight. I'm really very excited because she's talking about a lot of topics that are very near and dear to my heart. So let's get started, Mark. How are you doing tonight?
I'm fine. How are you?
Doing well.
Good. Let's see. Let me give the listeners a little update from last week. You may have already heard on the Conspiracy Unlimited show that was archived yesterday, but Richard and I had a clandestine radio host meeting at the summit of the Grave Creek Mound on Thursday, and this show corroborates that event happened, but we can't divulge the details yet. And I have to thank Major League Baseball and Pittsburgh Pirates organization, specifically Mr. Nutting and Robin, for the scoreboard message for Zach and North. Hope you return to the Ohio Valley soon. What pleasant and inquisitive young men. Okay, time for the awkward segue from my rant to our guest's intro. If you remember, late last summer, Barbara had a show with a lecturer from the Global Pyramid Conference. And I think the previous year she also was promoting that conference with another guest. Anyhow, our guest tonight also was a presenter at that conference. Pari was going to be my guest on another network at the same time, but that show had to be delayed because, let's say, I suddenly found myself between networks, but their idea worked out better for me anyways. Anyhow, Pari stuck with me and wanted to discuss another conference where she will be speaking as well as producing. This one is the Cosmic Retreat Conference. Our guest is the insightful and lovely Pari Patri. Her website is paripatri.com, and that is where you can get more info on the conference. Hi, Pari. How are you?
Hey, Mark. Hi. I'm great. How are you?
Oh, I'm fine. I'm just really glad you're here with us tonight. I think we have a lot of fascinating things to discuss.
Yes, yes.
So, let's just give the audience a little bit of teaser information about the Cosmic Retreat conference. When and where is it being held? And as we go throughout the night, I think audience would get a lot of information about how intriguing the conference is going to be. But what are the dates for your conference?
Sure. First of all, I want to say it's a pleasure being here, and thank you for this opportunity, Barbara and Mark. And I was listening to that intro. Oh my gosh, that's so awesome. And, it says everything between UFOs to unicorns, we're going to have it here. And that's exactly what Cosmic Reset is. And I really love that because I totally resonate with that. And that's how my life has been, like everything under the sun, everything between what it says. So it's really awesome that it's very aligning. So anyways, the Cosmic Reset Retreat. So this is our first Pyramid Spiritual Retreat, and I will talk about why it's a Pyramid Spiritual Retreat through the night, happening in Madison, Virginia, on August, starting on August 2nd to 4th. Friday is a weekend retreat. And it's held in the Seven Oaks Retreat. It's a beautiful retreat center in the foothills of Shenandoah Mountains, because I wanted to have mountains, and I live in Maryland, so Virginia was kind of closest. So we are hosting it there. I'm very excited about that.
Okay, so that's in the general vicinity between Culpeper and Charlottesville.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, so there are highways and major roads to get there.
Yes. So we are asking our speakers or suggesting our audience to come, participants to come to Charlottesville, because that's like half an hour away from the retreat. But even if you get to IAD, the Dallas airport, it's pretty close by. It's like an hour drive.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe less, maybe 45 minutes. But yeah, that's probably the two major airports closer to this retreat.
Yeah. It just seems like they're just easy access from cities, the airport, and the is there lodging at the conference center?
Yes. So the retreat includes the investment includes lodging, stay, food, organic food. We are having, excuse me, vegetarian food, vegetarian vegan food for this conference. So everything is organic, homegrown, and non-GMO. And it was very important for me to have high vibe food. So food, stay, and event, everything is included. So it's pretty, all they have to take care of is the transportation.
Okay. Good. And you know, Perry, you have a fascinating family background and enviable heritage. Y- you started off early in life, just being what's a word? Uh, Aware, conscious. It just really motivated to um, be able to make a difference in people's lives. Can you tell us a little bit about
Yes.
your background?
Sure, Mark. So yeah, I was born in India, and I was born in a very humble family, very ordinary family, nothing special about it. But yet, my father was not very, not the normal father. He was awakened in the year 1979, and somebody, one of his friends taught him a meditation, and he started learning more about it, and through meditation he had a very deep experience, and since then he started reading more about the spiritual science. Back then there were not many books, no internet, so he would
Hmm.
just find books on the road, the secondhand books on streets, and he would start reading books, and that's all he did. In fact, that's he must have read thousands and thousands of books on spiritual science, and since then he realized that his purpose in life was to teach meditation. And one fine day he quit his job, and he said he's going to teach meditation to the whole planet. And of course, everybody thought he was crazy back then. And then he said, and also he read a book called The Power of Pyramid Energy by Bill Schull and Ed Petit. It's a very old book, and he read that and he was inspired and he was amazed by the power of pyramids. And that's when he had this idea of building pyramids solely for meditation. So he started this organization called Pyramid Spiritual Societies movement back in 1990 actually. And the first pyramid was built, which was solely for meditation. So that's how I grew up in spiritual science. Like the topics, that everyday topics in my house were talking about past lives, talking about astral traveling, kundalini, chakras. So these were the everyday discussions over dinner table, or with friends. So that was my normal life, and that's how I grew up all my through my childhood.
Okay, Perry, you you just mentioned spiritual science. That's
Hmm.
an interesting way to look at things. I just like your the new perceptions that sounds like your dad instilled in you, and uh, and by a lot of standards, yeah, spiritual science is an oxymoron, but uh, you are taking umbrage with that term. But what is it about the science, the design of the pyramid that is so closely related to meditation?
Um, so is the question with regards to the pyramid and meditation, how they're connected?
Yeah, and the design of like
Hmm.
kind of like the science of engineering of the design. Like
Hmm.
what's the purpose of the pyramid?
Sure. That's a very big topic, but I'll try to attempt it. So the pyramids that I'm talking about are have the dimensions which are similar to Giza pyramid, so 52-degree angle.
Cool.
So it's the exact dimensions of a Giza pyramid. And that's the one that we built. The first one was built in 1990, and now there are about 20,000 pyramids across the world that has been built by this organization. Um, so the dimensions, as we all know, there is so much research, so much evidence about how this mysterious geometry has over effects over biological, atomic, and a molecular level of physical matter, and also the vibration of it. So this is something that I teach in my classes as how this particular shape, it's the shape power, is the so the effects of what the pyramid has shown on increasing the vibration. When I say increasing the vibration, that means I'm talking about the emotional parts of it. For example, love, compassion, forgiveness are higher vibrations. What we have seen is we have actually built pyramids in prisons back in India. And we have seen that the inmates actually come out earlier than they were supposed to, because they were meditating inside a pyramid, and they would come out and teach meditation. They became more, uh, kinder, more calmer, if I may. So what that means is that the vibration, the emotions are shifting. The volatile emotions like anger, frustration, all these are getting transmuted into this positive higher vibration. So it's raising our vibration. So that's a very, very big effect by itself. So it's not just happening at a physical level. In a physical level, there are many experiments done. For example, one of the very popular experiment was done by Dr. Durbal back in 70s from Czechoslovakia, where he was working with razors. Razor is one of the very popular experiment done, where you put a razor that has been used inside a pyramid, and you see that it comes out within few days. I think 24 to 48 hours, it comes out sharp, and you can use it. So this was one of the experiments. In fact, my father repeated as well. And not just that, just putting vegetables, putting fruits inside it, and it stays fresh longer than the ones that are outside. So all these, so it has some effects on the physical. That's what people started seeing, but it also has effects from an emotional standpoint. And I can, so that, and from a meditation. So this book that I talked about, The
Priya?
Power of Pyramids by Bill Schul and Ed Petit. This book
Priya,
talks about.
Priya, I got a question.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but doesn't that pyramid with that degrees, doesn't in sitting in that environment, doesn't it put the brain into an alpha theta state so that you are more easily able to get into your spiritual aspects?
Yes, exactly. That's absolutely right. We go into the theta wavelength, alpha theta wavelength, because and it resonate with Earth's frequency, which is 7.3. And that's where we have more. Our brain is in a more receptive state. For any kind of programming, or even going into a meditative state, because meditation itself is going into a theta wavelength. That's how the healing of physical and emotional body happens. And when you sit in a pyramid, it is much faster. So that's why building a pyramid for meditation, because now people are always complaining. Every day I see people, oh, I can't meditate. I'm stressed out. It just doesn't happen. I can't just control my mind. I ask them, we actually have pyramid hats where you just put it on your head, and we give them those hats, and we ask them to meditate with those hats on, and we see considerable difference in the way that they get into that meditative state faster. So that it acts as a tool to get the results faster.
Interesting. And Pari, you just brought up in modern settings like the prisons.
Mm-hmm.
There are changes being brought in the prisoners' behaviors. But when you were growing up, you were able to visit, see. It was the ancient Indian pyramids were just around you. What did the people of ancient India realize about these pyramids? It's just really interesting. Is there an aspect of the archaeoacoustics that people talk about at Stonehenge? There just seems to be some kind of worldwide understanding of these like sacred geometry type forms, starting very, very early. What a lot of this, these principles may have started in India. Can you tell us like a little bit about going to the pyramids of India? I've never been there. I'm sure a lot of the listeners haven't. Just like to have an expert who can tell us about these exotic locations.
When you say pyramids of India, the ancients, you mean the temples that were built in the ancient? Okay. Yes, it's very interesting that we see these ancient temples that are built, especially in South India and in the mid part of India, which are the top of the temple is in the shape of a pyramid. Now, in fact, I actually work with one of the spiritual teacher who wrote the book called The DNA of the Spirit, Mr. Ray Chandran. He actually talks about how these pyramids are portals for different frequencies. I mean, the temples in India are portals for different frequencies. They activate a certain frequency when you go there and you get initiated. This brings up a whole different topic because this is a very interesting and also a very deep subject, because when we talk about it, it's the way the worshipping is done, the way the praise is done in the modern age is completely different from how it was done in the ancient times. It's more of understanding that we come from the source and we are one, we are the source. When I actually pray, I'm sorry, I'm just diverging a little, but it will connect in a bit.
But it's better. It's made from the most.
So what it does is actually we are praying on to our own self, which is of a higher vibration, because we are multidimensional beings. So at the end, everything is one. We are all one. So we are all, but it's a fractalized part of the source that we are seeing in this physical 3D matrix. So these shapes, this sacred geometry has a very specific frequency encoded within them, and also is the location that it has been built, because that has its own frequency as well. Like, for example, the Giza pyramid is built right in the middle of the ley lines, which is pretty interesting. So these ancient pyramids that were built are for a very, very specific.
I think she's not here any longer.
Okay.
So,
what happened there?
I don't know. She just went away. But let's wait for her to call back in, because I'm pretty sure she will. She's talking about a really fascinating subject, and I think a lot of people don't understand the purpose to the pyramids. The pyramids, as we know them on the Giza Plateau, they never had mummies in them. They were not meant to be tombs. They were meant to be utilized for lots of different purposes, one of which was an initiation. I'm sure there are lots of others, but I know the initiation one has been proven that the structure of the pyramid, the way that it is put together, the resonance that you get from that 53-degree angle is really phenomenal. And when we had Marcel Vogel's students on, one of the things they were talking about with the crystals that he developed in order to meditate better, they were crystals that were carved.
Barbara,
can
you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are you back?
Yeah.
I was talking about the Marcel Vogel crystals that have been carved on a 53-degree angle that are used for meditation as well. But
yes,
you go.
Yes,
I think NSA thought you were giving out too much good information, and they just unplugged us for a minute. Okay, so you're back. You're talking about the ley lines and on the Giza Plateau.
Right. Yes. I don't know what happened. Yeah, I'm back. So yes. So the pyramids, interestingly, the Giza fall right in the middle of ley lines, and what we see right now is this ancient pyramids, ancient temples. Not just it's all over the Middle East. Everywhere it's either the cone shaped or a four-sided pyramid that on the temples that it has. And also we see in America and everywhere right now, Australian Aborigines, and it's pretty fascinating that why we see this shape. Why not a dodecahedron? Why not a icosahedron? And this is one of the subjects people spend their lifetimes learning about this. And I was reading recently, I was trying to research more about this. Going back to the story on the background, when I was growing up, I really didn't care much about knowing the history or knowing why. I just accept it as it is. Now, after, there was a period of time in my life where I was completely disconnected from my spiritual self. And that's a long story, I guess. But once I had an awakening, and I started connecting back to my spiritual self, to my roots. That's when I started researching more about quantum physics, about these pyramids, why pyramids are so powerful, why my father was so into pyramids. I never understood back then. So now I really do understand, because as I'm studying about the Giza pyramids, the Russian pyramids, which are also incredible, and we see now everywhere. Now the latest one which just showed up is in Bosnia, which is actually twice the size of the Giza pyramid. It's fascinating. And as Patrick Flanagan, he's one of the researchers in pyramids. He wrote many books in 1970s. He talks about he starts experimenting with the pyramids, connecting to voltages and seeing how it affects physical matter, different atomic structure from a molecular level, and he starts experimenting. And he does that with the pyramid shape, but with many other shapes. But what the results that he sees with this shape power is something that he could not replicate with any other shape. So that kind of concludes that this shape has something within it, some kind of technology, if I may, and that's why I say spiritual science, because it's a technology that is so advanced, again, which is given to us. I believe, and most of the researchers believe, that it has been given by the ancient builders, which are from different dimensions, higher dimensions. This technology to really for advanced spiritual practices.
And you just mentioned the Bosnian pyramid. That's Dr. Sam's one of Barbara's favorite guests, and there was Valerie. I forget his last. He spoke at the Global Pyramid Conference last year, and he was covering the Russian pyramids. I wasn't aware of that. What's going on in Russia?
Yeah, Russia. This again, I had no idea about Russian pyramids, and which when I started learning about that, it was pretty fascinating. So in Russia, this guy Dr. Alexander Gollard, has started. He started researching, and then he's a Ukrainian defense contractor who started building pyramids in 1990s. That's interesting, because in fact 1990 was the year when the first pyramid came up in India. So that's I don't believe in coincidences, but that's interesting to see. And he built 20 pyramids in 8 different locations in Russia and Ukraine. And all those pyramids were comprised of PVC pipe framework and were covered by fiberglass sheets. That's because they didn't want to use any metals, because when they used the metals, it actually deformed the physical. So they saw pretty different results when they used metal. So what they decided was they removed all the metal and they just used PVC pipe. In fact, talking about this PVC pipe framework, there's only one person who actually make those PVC pipes in U.S. His name is Charles Zeiss. He's from onlypvcpyramids.com, and he's actually coming to our retreat to talk about this Russian pyramids. So these were built with the phi ratio, and that's again another interesting topic, which Charles will talk about in our retreat. It's steeper than a Giza pyramid. The angles are steeper, and they really spent like over $1 million to build this. So the biggest one is like 144 foot tall, and I believe it's if I'm right, it's about 72 degrees angles. So as when compared to Giza, it's 53.
Very steep.
Right.
Yeah, and you get the Russian pyramids are been built with a PVC pipe. We know the Egyptian ones were built with stone. As like there's stone in at least the passageway of the Bosnian pyramid. But these pyramids are have been built throughout the ages with different materials, and your friend Charlie's spoken with you on your YouTube channel about the use of PVC pipe. So people can do this inexpensively in their own homes or out in the backyard. Does the type of material really make any difference?
That's a great question, and this is one of the most common questions we get asked. So yes, the Giza pyramids were made of granite and limestone, and yeah, you can actually, for the first question that you asked, can people make it in their backyard? Absolutely. The only important thing to consider is to have those angles right. That's the most important thing. And you can make out of cardboard, out of wood, out of glass, or any material you can get to. We actually have a cardboard pyramids that we give away in our meditation classes. So we give that to anyone who comes in to experience the power. So again, this is about the shape power more than the physical material. But as you get more sensitive about understanding the difference in the frequencies, in sensing of the energies, people start choosing the materials. Like, for example, many people have told us that copper, they could actually feel a different kind of energy when you sit in there. So it really depends on, and when you work with plastic, like people who are very sensitive, they just don't like plastic. They don't want to work with plastic. But if somebody who's just new to this geometry, who's just new to sensing these energies, may not find any difference when they wear a plastic pyramid or sit under a plastic pyramid. So it really depends on how in tune you are with these frequencies. Like for me, when I sat under the PVC pyramid, I could immediately see it was very energizing for me. I could just feel the difference, of energies. It was pretty high vibration. And one of my friends who is an energy healer, in fact, she came in and she was trying out that pyramid, and she saw that she could actually sense the blocks that she had. She was having pain in her neck for days. And then she saw what it is and what is the root of it. So for energy healers or practitioners, it can be it can be a great tool to really work with, so you can see the blocks, you can see the energy moving because it's high vibration. So you sense it much faster. So going back to the material part of it, it really depends on you. I know that's not an answer that people like, but it's about how you resonate with the material and how you resonate with those frequencies.
Your answer is interesting because we have samples from around the world with different types of stones, like I said with the Bosnian pyramid, you have a mixture of stone and earth on top of whatever's under the pyramid. It's I just find it to be one of those things. It's just fascinating to speculate about the purpose of using certain materials, and Barbara, correct me if I'm wrong. I think it was 2 years ago you had Bill Brown as a guest, and I think he was covering his engineering practices with a variety of mediums.
Yeah, he was designing pyramids for personal use, and actually he and I did a project where we did remote viewing, and he would give us the coordinates, and we would go there as remote viewers, and we would give him, the information that we got from doing the remote viewing. It was a very interesting experiment that we did.
Yeah, that sounds pretty interesting. So, what were the results? Were you able to see?
Yeah, we had about 60 or 70 people, and I did a lead meditation on the computer and took everybody to these coordinates that he had given us, and led people through going beneath the sand and seeing what was buried. And for the most part, the places that we went, we didn't get anything about, being buried there or anything like that. What we got was the fact that a lot of them were used for communication for otherworldly people, and that we discovered through the meditations that underneath the Giza Plateau there were many tunnels that led in many different directions, and all of it apparently had something to do with other dimensions and other realities. So it was a very exciting thing that we did, and then he got very, very busy, so we kind of stopped it. But I have full intentions of getting back to doing the meditations and putting them online. They're online, actually. If you go to my website, there's a remote viewing thing there, and you can listen to the meditations, and you can see the material that we gave out ahead of time to know where we were going, and you can experience it too. It was a very exciting thing that we did, and I keep saying we've got to get back to it because it sounds like such a wonderful thing to do, and everything gets busy after a while, and you kind of have to cut some stuff out. But we did about 13 or 14, and we went into pyramids. First on this planet, we did Monk's Mound. We did the Bosnian pyramid, of course. We did Giza Plateau. We did the first Emperor's Pyramid in China. We did the pyramid on the moon. We did the pyramids that are in the Antarctic. And so it was, we hit pyramids all over the place, and almost always there was an I don't want to say extraterrestrial, but there was an otherworldly feel. It was as though we were going outside of this dimension into other dimensions. I'm not talking, little green men in spaceships. I'm talking other dimensions, other cultures. And it was really a profound experience for all of us, and I think more profound than most, because in order to do the meditation, I had to take everybody out of body. So they were going out of body into the astral and then journeying someplace else. So it didn't surprise me that it was very unusual stuff that they were getting, because they were linked to their physical body, but they were in an astral body, which is a clearer conduit of the intuitive nature of us. So it was very exciting.
That's wonderful, absolutely, and that sounds so. The experiments that you're talking about sound so similar that we used to do back in India. It's just interesting to see how we are all doing it, but it's amazing. Yeah, just astral traveling. That's what we used to call. We didn't know the word remote viewing at that point, but going into different places, looking into that's one of the experiments that we all used to do as children, and go into these different worlds and dimensions and talk to those people. It's pretty interesting and fascinating to do that. And these pyramids are actually, as you mentioned, they actually open up into these other dimensions and frequencies, which are it's people experience different things based on what frequency they are in and what levels they can activate, I guess. Wow, that's pretty amazing.
What was the most fun about it was we had people from New Zealand and Australia and Great Britain and the United States and Canada. We had people from all over the world that were doing these, and what I have found is that I put the meditation, they weren't long. We did half-hour meditations. And what I have found is that people are still, and the meditation is right, it's on the blog, so you can click on the meditation and go through the meditation and then leave your impressions. And this is over 2 years ago, so that people are still doing it, which is really kind of amazing. So I am going to pick it up. There are places that I haven't gone yet, and so I'm just I will continue to do that as soon as my life calms down, because it was one of the most fascinating things that I have ever done, knowing that there were 60 or 7 people that I was connecting from all around the world, and we were going on a journey together. And I think my favorite was the Bosnian pyramid, because as we worked our way up through the pyramid, we came to a chamber where there was sort of what would I call it? I guess a guardian of the portal is the best way I could put it, but that makes it sound too, well, anyhow, that's what it felt like. And they said, you have to leave, your beliefs and your fears and your anger behind in order to go to the next level. And almost everybody did that, and what they came back with was just phenomenal. So it was fun.
Right. Yeah. Wow. That's pretty amazing. Thank you for sharing that.
Oh, you're welcome. It was really unusually. It was a great experience.
And Harry, speaking of sharing information, this might be getting closer to one of the more fascinating aspects of this show. And this question could be leading into information that my good buddy Damaris might be interested in getting some answers to. But at your conference, you're going to have fresh foods, non-GMO foods. We have to talk about Indian cuisine and curry. Do you have some recipes you'd like to exchange? At some point, we are going to do a culinary arts show. It was supposed to happen over the spring to get everyone ready to get out the barbecues, but I think that one's going to have to wait. But in India does have some delicious foods. Some of it is vegan. And we did a show recently on the Ayurveda foods. So I'm not getting too sidetracked, but I could easily do that, or have Perry come back. But like, what types of foods are best to go with the illumination that comes with meditating under a pyramid, or before you go in, after you leave? What kind of food could people expect to have at the conference? Is it going to be like Indian vegan type dishes?
Well, we're going to have vegetarian and vegan, and if any people have any dietary restrictions, then we're going to honor that. But the mainly, it's not. Yeah, we're going to have. I guess we're going to have some Indian food as well. They're going to, in fact, the chef said we can give them recipes and they can make for us, so which is pretty awesome. But it's mainly, yeah, we're going to have like a fusion, having more of plant-based foods in the sense grown locally, and they have their own menu. But just talking about in general the food in India, yes, Ayurveda is a big science in itself. There are three different branches in yoga. Yoga is for the yoga that we know is for the body. Yoga means a union in Sanskrit. It's the union between the body and the mind and the soul. That's actually because many people now, when I say yoga, I have to get some flexibility, so I have to go to yoga. But that's not truly yoga is for. It's more to connect, get in alignment with our body, mind, and soul. But so that's one of the branch, which is for movement, because movement is one of the most important things we need to allow the prana chi to move and manifest physically. The energy needs to be physically moved so it can project itself on the physical reality. But Ayurveda is again another kind of science, a yoga, which is for the food. It is the food. What it in the Ayurveda, the food itself is not just vitamins and nutrients. It holds the prana, the chi. So when we eat food, we are actually taking that prana, which is energizing our energy body, which is giving us that zeal or that life force within us. So that's the science which Ayurveda talks about, and it has. I'm not an expert, so forgive me if there is any expert out there on Ayurveda. I'm just gonna, go with the basics that I know. So it has these different types called Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. And everybody is, can fall under one of these types, or they can be a combination. Vata is the subtle energy associated with movement that I just talked about, space and air. Pitta is more about fire and water. It's body's metabolic system. Kapha is more about the body structure, bones, muscles, tendons, and so basically we need to go deeper into it and see where we fall under. So what it says is when you align your food according to your type, you are in more alignment, like you're giving the right energy, like the energy that you need, and you're aligning with the right elements, nature elements, so you are more energetic. If you are eating your food, you're sleeping well, but yet you feel tired, you feel exhausted in the morning, then there's something that definitely you need to look into what is that you're eating. As it says, we are what we eat. So it's very important for us to really look into the food that we are eating. In Ayurveda, there are many things that I try to follow, but one of the things is, first thing is, I don't use microwave.
Yeah, I've heard that from other people too. Yeah.
Yeah, microwave is, again, it's completely, you may have the nutrients and vitamins, but definitely no prana in there. So so it's like eating dead food. So one thing is, and also it's the radiation that, it's the frequencies which are really harming us. So one thing that I've completely removed from my house is the microwave, which I regret, because I used to heat up milk for my kids in a microwave. But now I completely take it out. And the other thing which Ayurveda talks about is you should always eat fresh food, in the sense like cooked food immediately. So the food has prana for 3 hours. That's what it says. So if you cook food right now, you should be eating that within 3 hours. So if you put that in the fridge, then again, it's going to affect the quality of the food, which is pretty difficult. But I try to eat as much fresh as I can, and cook regularly, because that's one of the factors in the science of Ayurveda. And now going back to I don't know if I can share a recipe because, oh my gosh, there's so many recipes.
I was kind of kidding, but I'm really not. But at some point, I do. That's actually true. I would like to do one cooking type show. You are welcome to.
Absolutely.
but yeah, I don't. I don't want to put you on the spot about getting out the recipes, but I really do like curry.
Yeah, it depends, right? In India, I'm just going to give a little background for the viewers or the audience who are listening. We have a different cuisine for each state in India. So it's like Maryland and Georgia. Maryland has its own cuisine, its own language, its own culture. Everything is different. And also within the state, depending upon which part of your state, it has its own special cuisines as well. So the curry that we generally see in the restaurants are mostly from the North India, and specifically from Punjab, the state called Punjab. So all the curries that we see, if like paneer or the naan, the roti that we talk about in a typical restaurant that you go, it's all from the north. So from where I come from, especially in our house, we make very simple cooking. Like it's just little seasoning and I'll be, that would be fun to do a recipe on show. I would totally love that.
Okay, Barbara. See, there we go. We're starting to get a demand to expand into even more variety of topics.
Mm-hmm. One person is not a demand.
Maybe we'll get some feedback on the archive.
Yeah. God. And one of the interesting things also in Indian, which I'm struggling right now, is as being a vegan. So I've been vegetarian all my life, but I've turned vegan recently, last year, and I must tell that it has completely shifted my life. I had no idea that the food, that taking away dairy would create so much difference in my life, in the sense that within 3 months I had thyroid before. After taking dairy off, I went and got checked up, and thyroid is completely gone. I have changed nothing else. There is no other factor that has changed in those 3 months except for my food. The exercise is the same. The environment, the stress or whatever, it's all the same. There's nothing changed. The only thing that changed is my food. And that really showed. I felt more energetic. I felt more energized as I get up in the morning and through the day. It's really changed my life. And the struggling part of it is in India. It's vegan is a concept. It's still not so common. So most of the foods have. Something we call as ghee. Ghee is made of saturated butter, and that is actually pretty. It's known to be pretty high. What do I say? Very lot of advantages like using that. So people have been using that since ancient. But something that's been my struggle, that being a vegan is I'm finding it hard to have recipes in Indian cuisine. So like the curry you talk about, they put mostly like the cream in it, or the ghee is the most common that every recipe has in it. So yeah, so that's one of the things which changed my life. And of course, the Indian cooking has, when we talk about Ayurveda, the turmeric. Turmeric has so many, oh my gosh, it's amazing. In fact, I have an essential oil of turmeric, which I always put it in my smoothie the first thing in the morning. I put turmeric and sandalwood. Sandalwood we use a lot for divination, in prayers and worships, and that again is going back to the topic, like aligning with chakras. Now introducing new stuff. So sandalwood really works with higher chakras. It's very, very amazing if you're trying to connect to activate your third eye or connect to spiritual realms. Working with sandalwood really works as a tool in that process.
And we're at the halfway point of the show. I didn't realize that until just now. Maybe just take a moment here where you can let the audience know where they can learn more about your conference, more about the services you offer. What's your website and your YouTube channels, et cetera, and just take a minute to give that a plug.
Sure, thank you. So my website is paripatri.com. That is PARIPATRI.com. That's my website. The conference website is cosmicreset.com. That's where you'll find all the information about the speakers, about the schedule, and everything. We're still updating it. We are finalizing the schedule right now. But about me, so I am an executive spiritual coach. I work with women who are from corporate executives, entrepreneurs, or aspiring leaders, really trying to get back to their authentic self, overcoming fear, overcoming all that programming which tells them that they can't have everything. So I work with them to break through those inner blocks and reprogram their subconscious mind, and using powerful spiritual tools. And the tools include working with meditation, working with visualization, affirmations, crystals, pyramids, plant medicine, working with essential oils, the food, everything packed together, everything that we are talking about. So and also energy work. I'm an energy healer, so I've been trained in many different modalities: radionics, one light healing touch, crystals, and I've been trained under many, many teachers. So I put together all of this information that I've learned in these programs when I work with women. I also go to corporates to teach meditation, because I come from a corporate background before doing what I'm doing right now, and I truly resonate with the stresses and the problems that the corporates go through right now. And I believe they absolutely need meditation in every organization to deal with that stress, because stress is the number one thing killing people more than cancer right now. Those are the stats which came out last year. So I teach meditation. I wanted to just talk about the reprogramming of mind, because that's something that is, Go
ahead and keep talking about the reprogramming. This is becoming very intriguing.
Yes. And yes, reprogramming mind. It started with this concept that I've learned. It started from when I read the book Said Speaks, channeled material by Jane Roberts. That's when we start about how our subconscious mind is actually the seed of our creative mind. It's actually projecting whatever we believe in our subconscious mind. Our reality must express itself. So one thing, it is a mindset, it is the programming, and this programming starts as soon as we are born. Like in neuroscience, what they say is from the age 0 to 2, you're in the delta wavelength, which is that's the wavelength we are in when you're in deep sleep. So in that wavelength, we're actually downloading every program, and everything is going straight to our subconscious mind. And from 2 to 7, 2 to 5, 2 to 7 is where the theta wavelength is active, where you're in that trance-like state. That's the trance-like state between the subconscious wake and deep sleep. And that has a very thin veil, between the subconscious and conscious. And that's when my kid is 3.5 years old. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
We're just captivated.
Yes. So, and that's the time where they are, when you say unicorns are there, they believe that. When you say there's a genie, they believe that because they are in that imaginative state. And they're in between these worlds of imagination and the conscious physical world. And at this point, I remember this very much. One of my uncles, family member, came in, and he said my kid was crying. My son was crying. I have a daughter and a son, crying, and then he would say, "Don't cry like a girl," or "Boys don't cry." And that's, oh my gosh, I was like, gosh, I have to stop him, because when you say such words, they become these core programs, because you're saying that at that young age where you're actually building your core subconscious programs where they will run all your life. So once you grow up, these programs go on our autopilot mode, and you're not even conscious about it, but these programs are running and creating our realities. So once after you're 8-7, you're in the alpha stage, and you're more conscious than in trance, and after 13 or 14, you are in the beta stage, that is more logical, more here, more aware, more conscious. So, and your programs have already built, and that's the movie Inside Out, which is so beautiful. It shows these concepts so beautifully. But so all these words that we hear, like the money doesn't grow on trees, or rich people are not compassionate, or or evil, or all these statements that we hear, they become programs, and we are not even conscious about it, and they start creating a reality. So one of the laws, or that's what all the teachers talk about, is how whatever we believe, our reality must express. So we create our own realities every single moment, whether we like it or not, whether that's a failure or a success, whatever it is, we are creating that in our lives. And some people may say, no, I didn't create this failure, I didn't create this loss, I didn't create this, but you did it. And anything which tells us that you can't is a program. It is a limitation within ourselves. So that's when we start. And this first thing is to realize that get in touch with those limitations. What are those belief systems that are holding me back? One of the limitations that I had, which I deeply struggled to reprogram myself, was so my father, all this organization and all the work that he does is for free. He doesn't charge money to do anything. Everything runs on donations to this day. And so growing up, so I had believed that the spiritual work should be done for free. So anybody who would charge money, I would have judgments against them. Oh my gosh, they should not be doing that. It should be a service. It should not be done that way. And also I realized that if you want money, if you want to be successful, or in from a society standpoint, you got to do something you don't like, because you can't do something you like and ask for money. So that was a program which, when I decided to quit my corporate job, a high-paying job, and decided to pursue my purpose of serving women and teaching these concepts, teaching these tools, techniques that I've learned all my life, but I wanted to sustain myself. I wanted to be financially free. I did not want to struggle, because I've seen that struggle growing up. I've seen that in my life. So one of the belief systems that I had to struggle so hard was to reprogram myself, like take away, delete that program that says that money and spirituality can go together. Reprogram that money is energy. Money, it's an exchange of everything is an exchange. So now it took time for me. It was not easy, but I worked. I used the same tools that I teach to reprogram myself, and I have seen, oh my gosh, it has completely changed my life. Now I do what I love, and I am supporting my family financially as well, which is incredible. And so those are the examples of like how you can absolutely change, create what you want by just shifting the mindset, shifting that programs in our subconscious mind.
Yeah, since you're dealing with mainly women clientele, what are the most common concerns that your clients come to you with, and what do they need help? Like you said, bringing it changing their perspective to something that's more clearer.
Yeah, it is. Some of my clients come when the main thing is, the main emotion behind any kind of problem or struggle they go through is the stuck career, maybe their relationship, or maybe financially or health, any kind of problem. It can. Hi, am I there?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
There was NSA was playing around with the Blog Talk studio again, but I think you're back.
Okay. The underlying emotion that is a feeling of stuckness, frustrating, waiting for things to happen, and they never show up, and also connecting back to their true authentic self. Because when you are in your professional life, in your relationships, we become somebody. The most important or the most common thing that we do as women, or even men do, is people pleasing. Is to please others in order to be accepted, in order to belong, to be loved. And in that process, we lose ourselves. We lose the core essence of who we are. And when that disconnection happens, that's when we start manifesting blocks. It first starts in the energy field, and slowly over the years, when we keep ignoring it, we do get signs. But when we start ignoring them, it manifests itself as a physical block. So that's when people start, paying attention into their lives, when it actually manifests in the physical life. And that's what happened to me when I as I said, I grew up in the spiritual life, but when I came to US, I completely disconnected from my past because the environment I was in, um, nobody was accepting the idea of meditation, or nobody would accept the idea that I create my own reality. And that was complete and an alien topic to them. So in order for me to fit in order for me to be accepted, I deeply wanted that. I so wanted that. So I suppressed all the beliefs that I had, and I started, accepting the belief systems that was around me, that my friends had, and slowly I started living in fear, slowly, and I started people pleasing, and that's when, and it took me 10 years for it to manifest physically as a block in my tubes, and I couldn't have kids. That was my awakening call. Like, oh my gosh, I had to wake up. I had to go back to my true self, to my true roots, and get connected back to myself. And that's the whole. That's the time when I started doing my soul searching and started working and connecting to who I am, to what I really wanted, and that really shifted. Everything changed. And by the way, I do have two beautiful children, which I'm talking about in the show. And once I saw how I manifested them, I realized how powerful we are. We can create anything we want. All we need to do is take away distractions, energy drains, energy leaks, and really have that mindset for success. And that's exactly what I offer my clients, exactly the recipe that I followed. I work with them every day.
Well, that's empowering autobiography you just gave us. What do guys come to you with similar concerns, or they a little bit different? What do you hear from like some guy like me? If I were to give you a call and talk to you about career paths, or what relationship issues. What are you hearing from the guys?
Well, again, even from the men that I worked with, there are a few men that I worked with. It is basically the same underlying emotions. The feeling, the people pleasing. It's the programming that most of us hold onto. And for men, it is, being vulnerable. That's a big challenge, because that is a sign of weakness that has been programmed in us, right? Like showing, being vulnerable or being sensitive is a sign of weakness. And that's, in fact, there's one of my clients recently who struggled with depression, chronic depression at his work, and the programming that he was holding on to was he's a man, he can't show that he is weak or he is depressed, and just accepting that it is okay to be who you are. It's okay to talk about your story, and understanding that you are not your story, and you have the power to change change your script, change your story, gave him that liberation. Like, now he talks about that. He talks to people who go through the same thing, which is incredible. It doesn't have to be like a life transforming shift it's just a simple acceptance of who we are, a simple shift in it's okay to be just accepting that, just understanding that can bring such great transformation in one's life. And that's exactly what I saw, which I was pretty amazed. And yeah, it is definitely the similar um, emotions, and also one of the things that they go through is the competition, the stress to prove themselves, which is again same with the women as well. But I work mostly with women because somehow I've been called to work with them.
I understand.
And I do get requests from men, and I take them if I can, get into my schedule. But I do honor that.
Okay, but with your Cosmic Retreat conference, it sounds like the setting is conducive to removing these roadblocks, the societal programming that you've been discussing, and as we've spoken a lot over the last year. There is emphasis of a return to nature, and the Shenandoah Mountains are very beautiful. It's been a long time since I've been to the Charlottesville area, but you have Thomas Jefferson's Monticello in the vicinity. It is a very nice area. Thomas Jefferson was basically it would have fit in really well with Woodstock. So what does the return to nature and the authentic, getting back to the authentic you, how does that all work together?
That's a great question.
That's why Blog Talk pays me big bucks.
Yes. It is one of the biggest part of, again, going back to I'm just thinking about how to answer this question. So where we are right now, in our everyday lives, we are surrounded by radiation. I'm going to back that the Wi-Fi that we are here, we are isolated in our own houses, in our own rooms, in our own cubicles that we go to work, or offices or apartments. We are essentially built as a whole system that we work connectedly. In fact, one of the books that I was reading, the harmonic sounds and the harmonics of sounds and vibration by J. Emanuel, he wrote a beautiful book about these sounds and harmonics, like how the sounds of the birds are actually healing us, how the sounds of the whales and dolphins are bring back into our theta wavelength. So all these systems, ecosystems, and the animals and the plants, we are all built to work connectedly. We all are in this ecosystem. But what we are doing is we are so isolated, we are so working in compartments that we are not really connected. And that's one of the reasons which they talk about is like, getting the physical problems or allergies or any such, physical blocks are because of this disconnection with the whole. And we are meant to heal ourselves. Our bodies are meant to heal by themselves. But because of this isolation, because of this disconnection, we experience what, the things that we experience, the emotions that we have. So when we go back into the nature, we are actually we are going back into our natural state, the way we are meant to be. And there's so much science now that came out, the earthing part of it, where how when you stand barefoot on earth, how the negative ions are helping you coming in balance, and how magically all the diseases are going away. And there's a whole book on that. So now the scientists, of course, are catching up with all these things that we talk about. So it's, when we go back to the nature, we're allowing ourselves to connect to this whole system and go back into balance. And from a neuroscience perspective, what happens is when we are in the stressed environment, when we are in stress, which is the fight, flight, or freeze mode, that is when, I'm just going to take a minute here to just explain this.
Okay.
Is when a deer is in forest, and it's it's eating its grass or eating its food, and suddenly he senses a tiger around, and he's active, and he sees and he senses it, and he goes into this fight or flight or freeze mode. Fight is where it either has to fight the tiger, flight, either run or freeze, just freeze in fear. Obviously, the deer is going to run. And at this time, there are three things that, Dr. Joe Dispenza talks about this, is there are three things that gets heightened, which is the time, body, and environment. That is body, that is the body safe. And the second thing is the environment, is my environment, which is the environment that I need to run. It's going to scan it. And the third thing is the time. How much time do I have to run, to go into a safe space? So all the blood is now, everything shuts down, the immune system, everything shuts down, and it's going back to it. It's going to the brain to figure out how to get out of this task, or this task on hand. So it's going to run, it's going to go into the safe space, and once it goes back and it looks around and sees, okay, there's no tiger, and then it goes back to its normal state of being. It goes back to its in its balanced state. It's no longer in the fight, flight, or freeze mode. So it's not in the stress mode. When you are in the stress mode, your brain is releasing chemicals like cortisol and adrenaline. These are acids, and they help to give an energy boost to think about how to get out of the situation. So when you are in the stage when the deer is running, it's not going to look around and say, oh my gosh, how beautiful the sky is, how amazing the grass is. It's going to run. That's all it's going to do. So this system we have in human beings as well. But for us, the predator is not a tiger. It is the next interview. It is the next presentation. It is the next, the first day job, or the deadline is job. So these are our predators. But also this system is meant for a shorter time period. But we live in this stress mode before say I'm nervous about this interview today. I am stressed about it 2 days before, and after I am present, I'm interviewed, I am like, oh my gosh, I should have said that. Oh my gosh, I should have done this. And I'm living in the stress again that maybe I sounded like a stupid. Maybe, I shouldn't have said that. So I'm living in the stress mode for a longer period of time. And what happens to me is I'm not creative. My creative mind is shut down. I am just worried about this task. My three things that are heightened is my body, my time, and my environment. So I'm more focused on the external things. That is, how beautiful my house is. Do I have the latest TV? Do I have the latest laptop? Or how much time? Oh my gosh, I lost 30 years of my time or 40 years of my time, and I'm still stuck here. So our senses are more heightened towards the external things, and we stop going internal, and the creative side of it is shut down. So and on top of it, the everything that we are working on, the Wi-Fi, which is going through our bodies, the phones, the radiation from phones, laptops, everything is not helping us going into the balance. And most people don't meditate because meditation is one of the tools that brings you back into balance, and that's a must. We must. It's like a necessity. It's not even like a nice thing to do anymore now. We must meditate every single day to go back to that balance. So going back to your question, I'm sorry I gave a very long answer, but going back to your question, going back to the nature, because we need to take time for a reset button, because if we push ourselves longer and longer in this environment, we are going to get into a burnout situation. We are going to, wait for some big thing to happen in our life until we have that awakening. So these retreats. I feel everybody must find a retreat and go in there to connect with the nature. This is like a reset button, just to give ourselves a reset from and release all those toxicities from ourselves, get back into balance, and go back to our life. Because we go back much stronger, much powerful, and more balanced. So we can always be the best. We can have the best version of ourselves in our everyday lives.
Okay, well, Pari, I don't think you have to worry about the tiger predator. I think that you helped us to get resets, broad balance, however you want to look at it. We've had a lot of beneficial information from you, and we've had fun tonight. It's been a terrific show, and we still have 25 minutes or so left. But when we first started talking about a year ago, I think you were in London.
Yes.
We have kind of like a group of listeners from Barnsley. It could be just, some from maybe one from the Coventry area. But how are some of the people from these international locations receiving the information that you're presenting to them in presentations or just normal conversations? Are they more accepting of it? Is America just kind of waking up? What do the international people you're dealing with have to say about like this pyramid information and reprogramming?
Oh my gosh, it is amazing that the awakenings that is happening is everywhere. It's not just U.S. It's Europe, Australia, everywhere. It is amazing to see. In fact, I was just at a retreat, which is for a DNA activation recently, and I've had, we had people come from New Zealand. We had people come from London. Yeah, it was amazing that, people are recognizing or understanding these, have this awareness of that there is more to what we see. And just talking to them, it's just amazing because they absolutely have so much more information than I do. And I like to, talk to them and learn more about that. And the one thing that I'm really I get fascinated about is connecting how all these things that we have in our own countries or in our own cultures, in our own civilizations, how they all meet together. That's something that fascinates me, and I try to research more about that, and I follow that. Like, for example, like the quartz crystal, how at the same time it is used in different civilizations for healing, channeling, and meditation purposes. In where they were not connected at all. So it's very interesting. Yeah, when I work with them, they are very open, there's so much awakening happening everywhere right now. There's a shift in consciousness as everybody talks and notices right now. And we've got so much help in this movement. It's like, you may have heard about the 100 monkey effect. So it is, we are reaching that threshold where it is going up into the records of the collective consciousness. So now, in no time, as we do our jobs, as we do spread this light, spread this information, once it reaches the collective consciousness, it reaches the threshold, it is going to be everywhere. Everybody will have that information, will have that access to that record. So, because what we do is every person is doing their bit to reach that threshold. We don't have one, need the whole world to do. All we need to do is have that threshold reached where we all work together to spread this information, spread this light, and the consciousness, the shift is going to happen at that point.
Interesting. Okay. Well, I just thought that it's just. I'm just glad we can get international perspectives out there to more people. Thank you. I'm just enjoy including more people in our little growing show. They check in. We get little messages from people, but anyhow, like as people get more involved in meditation and the pyramids, what are different forms of meditation?
Well, there are so many different forms of meditation, but the meditation that we teach or that I've learned from my father is called Anapanasati meditation. It's a Buddhist way. It's a Buddhist technique, and Ana means in breath, Pana means out breath, Sati means union. So this is just observing our breath, our in breath and out breath. There's no chanting. There's no thinking about any idol or any person. There's no focus on your third eye or anything. It's just paying attention, bringing our focus to our breath. And it's a silent meditation. So you can have music if you like, but I do it in silence. That's it. It's as simple. It sounds pretty simple, but it's definitely not easy when you start. There's no levels to it, nothing. It's just sitting in silence and observing our breath, because that's breath is going back to the rhythms of our heart, going back to the rhythms to our core, because that's where our core vibration is, in our heart. So we are now getting familiar with our own rhythms, with our own, dance. And that's,
Yeah, and they all work together, and the whole body works as a whole, not as separate parts.
Right, exactly. And yeah.
I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just wanted to emphasize your point.
Yes, yeah. So that's the simple meditation that we teach, and this meditation is now done by millions of people. And through this meditation, they take on their own journeys, like how Barbara talked about the remote viewing, the astral journeying, and people had incredible experiences with doing this meditation, having Kundalini awakenings, third eye visions, seeing their past lives. It's just pretty amazing, like how you can, there's so much that we can um, uh, see and experience once we start going within.
And, and Perry, it's some of the uh, breathing, uh, you know, listening to yourself techniques are very helpful. One of the um, instruments that maybe does the same thing for me. I'm not sure if I'm using the right phrase, but the singing bowls are. Um, I find them to be very calming for me, and use the. I'm sure that they will be at the Cosmic Retreat Conference, but it's like you know seeing you using a small bowl at other conferences. I've seen people have like a white stone. But I'm not sure what kind of material it's made from. But yeah, it's really it goes back to probably vibrations. It's just I like the sound that it creates, and just the effect it has on me. That's one of the things I like about these conferences is the singing bowls. So are people going? Is there going to be like a band of singing bowl people playing like different size?
Yes, I guess you're referring to like a sound bath.
Yeah, so some like guys, there might be a number of people there playing them. I just wondered if that was part of the conference.
No. Actually, yeah, I love sound baths, but in this conference we are actually having the Earth energy practitioner. That's what she calls herself, Wind Daughter. So she practices shaman practices and other energy healing modalities. So she is going to come in and do a shamanic journey on Saturday night, on third night. So which I'm really, really looking forward to because and one of the things that it is is again sitting under the nature, going into this deeper levels of your spirit and connecting to your power animal, connecting to your spirit. That's one thing that I really wanted to have in the conference. So no, I would love to have a sound bath, but we don't have so much time. So the next retreat I would do, I would definitely have it. And yeah, but this time we're gonna have a shamanic journey in the night under the stars.
Okay. And what about any kind of crystal demonstration? Is that going to be happening as well? That I don't know if that fits in, but you do work with them as well.
Yes, I'm a sound healer as well. So I do work with crystals and singing bowls a lot. But we probably will have vendors who are presenting the singing bowls. The meditation that we do is going to be a flute meditation. That's my father. He plays a flute, so he does a flute meditation. So we're gonna do every day a 2-hour intense meditation with flute. Um, so yeah, we're going to have a different instrument, not the singing bowl, but yeah, we will have music and drums.
Oh, okay. See, a little bit of everything. Okay, and you know, Perry, we have probably 13 minutes
Mhm.
left. Okay, just try and keep you posted about the time. And what about bringing sage?
Yes, yeah. I mean, that's something that I'm going to do before we start the retreat. But yeah, sage is definitely shifts the vibration and removes any kind of transmutes the energy into positive. Um, so yeah, sage is something that I work with every day. And again, as we said, we're going to have the shamanic. I think we're going to start the retreat on Friday with a pipe ceremony with Wind Daughter. So we're going to sage before the event, before the retreat starts, to bring in higher vibrations um, for the time we're going to be there.
Okay. And we've heard a lot about pyramids tonight. One topic we haven't discussed, haven't asked about it, but we've heard about it from a number of other guests. Is spirals.
Mm-hmm.
What have you learned about spirals in your research?
Well, I guess the spirals you're referring to the torsion fields.
Okay.
So pyramids, the shape creates these torsion fields, which is why the energy is the energy is the vibration is increased at a higher rate. And as I learn about pyramids, one of the major source of my information is from the show Wisdom Teachings by David Wilcock. That's when I really started understanding the power of the Russian pyramids and the science behind it. Where the scientist Nikolai Kozyrev, this is the guy he's from Russia, and he started experimenting and brought this concept of torsion field out. How? Now we don't have time to talk about it, but how time itself is completely different than what we understand, and how it is a torsion field, and pyramids have the same same technology as well. So the shape it acts as a funnel upside down, which creates this torsion field, the spirals, and amplifies the energy. That's why we see all these effects with the shape power. And as we go to the apex, the apex of the pyramid, the vibration is intense. So they have experience in Russian pyramids. As they go higher and higher, they actually get dizzy and it maybe feel nauseous and so forth.
There will be some musicians at the conference. Are there going to be any artists painting mandalas or creating them in different forms, or in any sand? Yeah, I forget the term for it. So some of the different uses of multicolored sand. So I was just wondering if there will be artists doing mandalas or.
You know what? I haven't
Sand.
I haven't thought about it, but now that you say, I'm gonna look into it and see if we can get somebody who does that.
Okay.
Yeah.
The art, the artwork is interesting. I know, Barbara's gotten involved in it as well.
Mhm.
I just,
Yeah, I mean that sounds pretty interesting, and I would love to have someone do that. Yeah, thank you for bringing that up.
okay. Well, it's just trying to cover all the bases here, make it a
Mhm.
multi-sensory type event.
Right.
It, it when what show? I think when we had Scott Walter on last week, he was talking a little bit about Dwarka. Are you familiar with?
Dwarka in India?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
That was the kingdom that is drowned under the land, which is from Krishna, if you know, time era.
It's
It's an ancient city which is underground, and archaeologists have discovered part of it, which is from the that age is called the golden age. In fact, we are entering that age now. Since 2012, but yeah, that was the age when, if the viewers know about Krishna and Rama, the gods, that is the age, that is the city from that time.
okay. Yeah, it was just a very interesting subject that seems to be coming up more frequently on our shows. I just wondered if, since you're from there, I just wondered. That's one of the nice things about having an international type show, or people have international experiences. Just bringing all these new perspectives. I just wondered if you're a little bit familiar with it. That's fine. It's a fascinating subject.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. And and another subject that maybe came to the forefront because of the Ancient Aliens TV show is the a really captivating histories presented in the Mahabharata. Or are you familiar with that book?
Well, I know the stories. I haven't read the Bhagavad Gita, which has the stories, but yeah, I know a little bit. Probably not an expert, but yeah.
Oh, okay. It's a pretty massive book from what I understand. I just what is a book about? Is it like a lot of poems?
Well, no, it has a lot of teachings from Lord Krishna to his student called Arjuna, and it's a story. It's basically a story between of a family of brothers, and how they fight with each other and how they win the battle. I guess that's the story. So in that story, there are many different stories entangled, and how the teachings from that is basically what people talk about it and practice.
Okay. So it's well, a little bit like the Bible. There's uh, some history mixed in with the uh, spiritual teachings. I just I wasn't sure what I haven't read it. It's just I just hear.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. It has a lot of spiritual teachings, a lot of spiritual messages from that, and basically what this is my personal opinion. I know we have few minutes, 5 minutes. It's my personal opinion that nothing to do with the religion or Bhagavad Gita, but it's my personal opinion is that all those people, all the characters are here from different planets, different civilizations. And they were, as it said, at that point, many many scientists now talk about how we had, in fact, like David Wilcock talk about how we had people on earth, gods walking on earth. And Krishna, Rama, they are all the higher density beings who came onto the earth to have human experience. And these stories all come from that. This is where it's all over the planet. All these civilizations have their own stories, and these are all the higher density beings who came here, experiencing this and giving spiritual teachings. So the purpose of them coming is giving humans the teachings, the essence of higher technology, higher information. But what happened is that we started worshiping them instead of practicing them. So that's my own personal belief. That's nothing to do with any other person. But yeah, that's what I.
Okay. And we're down to about 2 minutes or so. Hey, do you want to give your websites and all how people can get to Madison, Virginia?
Yes. So please, guys, go and check out cosmicreset.com. It is one of the first pyramid spiritual retreat that we are doing in US. It is right now. In fact, we have early bird going on. And on top of it, I'm offering just for the viewers of this show an $100 off coupon. Which is save 100. So you get $100 off on top of the early bird, which ends in 6 days. So if you are somebody and you feel like you need a reason, you feel like you need to connect to like-minded spiritual people around and get a detox, get a reset button, hit that reset button, then this might be the one that you are looking for. So go check out cosmicreset.com, and the early bird is happening right now until June 30th, and I'm offering this a special coupon, which is not we are not advertising it outside. It's just for the people that we are offering for very special occasions, and that's save 100. And we have speakers coming in from different parts of the country, from different fields of expertise. So we're going to have these different perspectives. We're going to do a shamanic journey, as I talked about, connecting to your spirit, and we're going to do meditation. If you haven't experienced flute meditation, you must come, because this is one of the things that really, really people really enjoy this and experience different frequency shifts with the flute vibration. This is the flute that even the Krishna used to play. So that has a very, very different kind of frequency that you will experience. So I would invite you to come join me in August, Madison, Virginia, in the foothills of Shenandoah Mountains for this cosmic reset. And go ahead.
Okay, so I was just saying we're almost out of time, and I just want to thank you for being such a informative, wonderful guest.
Thank you. It was